My God, Blue, 4 kills! Lifeless is going to the main event.
When I come through, I'm the only one they'll talk to. Gonna heat it up, I'm looking through.
And Flowerful is insane.
Right through the baby door. Get one, 2 kills, what a play coming across.
That's too damn bad. Does that make you mad?
30 seconds left. 1 enemy remaining.
I'm the star of this show. Now you know. They all watch when I walk past.
So aware.
But that's too damn bad.
Saunders ain't having it.
He's having it.
Get used to it. I'm too damn bad. Does that make you mad?
North America can only send 2 of its best teams, and we are down to our final 3 days to decide who that will be. Welcome, everyone, once again to Game Changers, the main event. I'm your host, Lemon Kiwi, but most importantly, I got some incredible analysts joining me today. Give me Bach, give me Dryad. Felt like Steve Harvey there for a second. What's up? What's up, Bach? You look as shiny and wonderful as ever. How are you doing?
Is that a ball joke? I mean, I know it's
You're glowing, absolutely glowing.
It's thin. That could be the sunburn as well. The beauty of this pale complexion is that I got sunburn in October in New Jersey. That is a thing apparently that I have to deal with as an adult. It's pretty awesome being a grown-up.
Congratulations on adulting, touching grass. That's awesome. Dryad, I decided to join the Pink Army with you since the last time we worked together. Our forces are growing stronger every day.
Next is Bach, you know. I mean,
it actually is pink. You just can't tell. It's too thin.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but that's fine.
We'll get him a wig, and it's gonna be so snazzy. Well, speaking of what's snazzy, we are getting deeper into our final Game Changers bracket before the World Championship. And, you know, as a reminder, North America is sending 2 teams to Sao Paulo. The top circuit point earner aggregated from the 3 Game Changer Series tournaments and our champion of this series, Series 3. And here's how the main bracket is shaping up of our main event. Bach, it's no surprise to see who's at the top.
Yeah, I mean, V1 has pretty much had an undisputed position as the #1 team in North America. There was maybe some conversation at the start of the year whether or not Shopify Rebellion was going to step into that role, given what had happened at the finals last year. But V1 has been on an absolute tear. They do not seem to struggle against anyone. I was going through and I was looking at their maps, going all the way back to the first stage of Game Changers this year. Only once has a team even managed to get 12 rounds. It went into overtime. It was Complexity, and Complexity lost that game. That illustrates just how dynamic V1 has been throughout the year here in Game Changers.
And also the unsigned teams that have,
yeah,
you know, they're still alive and they're making a run here in the lower bracket. Potentially Noot Noot and Wingman Patrol have been looking pretty good. When you look at 2 teams that you might recognize a couple of the names, maybe you don't recognize all of them, but they have looked really good, especially against the strongest teams that we expected to continue seeing today and the next day to come, right? Disguise gets eliminated after getting top 3 in Series 2, and version 1, who actually had to put up a fight against Noot Noot in one of the earlier matches that we had. So it really, once again, proves the evolution that the series has had and this main event continues to have.
And it proves just how important this event is. Because yes, version 1 we announced yesterday, in case you missed it, in case you're under a rock, version 1 have qualified for that World Championship to represent North America, and there's only one other spot. And oh my god, we got Shopify Rebellion, Complexity, Wingman Patrol, EG, Noot Noot, all fighting for that spot. We're going through lower quarters today. Will it be an unsigned team? Will Shopify Rebellion not make another World Championship? Oh, the narratives, they're oozing. But let's talk about our first match going down. We got 2 matches today of our lower quarters. The underdogs, the most underrated team in Game Changers, a strong yet experienced core, an unsigned core. Let's talk about Noot Noot. Bach, it's the first time Noot Noot have made that main event, and they're making quite a splash.
This is an interesting team, because if you had told me coming into Game Changers that this would be one of the teams still playing at this point, I might have laughed a little, chuckled. I'm like, I don't really think this is going to be them. And I'm not trying to be insulting to Noot Noot. It's just there's so much talent trying to fight for those final few spots. Because if you really look, you've got your top of the food chain. You've got your V1s, you've got your complexities, your EGs, your Shopify Rebellions. It's the remaining spots that are always fought for by these teams, and there's so much competition. But Noot Noot made a minor change in bringing in Malibu, and since then, things have turned around. This roster is looking incredible, and they're now qualifying for the main event for the first time as a roster.
And one of the things that the team talked about the most is how they've been staying together since that Series 1 for the most part, and how much that has brought the value that they needed to keep improving. Yesterday, we were talking about them in Series 1 being top 16, then top 12. Now they're at least guaranteed top 6. As the competition goes on, and we can really see why when you see these individual pieces working together throughout every single one of the maps that we've seen for Noot Noot. And I think that the two players that stand out to me are Malibu and Carrie, that we got to see yesterday so much of. Especially Carrie, I think, was just the highlight non-stop, always strongholding those sites, being the difference maker that the team needed to get ahead.
One of the things I think we always talk about when we come into these events is the star players, and how there's pretty much the same star players at every event. It's 4 really far ahead of the pack, and then everyone else from V1. Kingsley's in the top as well. Saunders up there. It's not really a player from some of these free agent rosters, but this time around, it actually is. You look at the top of the charts in stats coming in, even just the main event, but also going back to the qualifiers. Malibu has been impeccable, and that's been a big piece of why they've actually managed to get to this point as a free agent roster. They've brought in a little bit of star power, seemingly out of nowhere. It's kind of interesting.
I know, Triad, you were really hyped about Noot Noot, having that close series against version 1, but, another person that's very hyped about Noot Noot is their coach, and that's difficult, when Complexity are the big favorites here.
Yeah, yesterday we got to see and hear that interview for the coach, and one of the things that he said that was so interesting was saying this, from what I know, they will probably make grand finals, talking about Noot Noot, his team, and we are a clear favorite for this tournament. Then he went a little bit more on to talk about how they had a close map against version 1, and next time that they would have to face them once again, they would make sure they would at least take one map from the best team that we have in Game Changer. So that is the level of confidence that we're speaking of when we think about Noot Noot.
Look, I'm just going to say it. You can't see me on camera right now, but I'm holding a hat because I think that quote is cap. That is a bold statement to make. I understand the confidence. Obviously, he feels very comfortable with what their team is capable of, but at the same point in time, look at the talent that's stacked up currently in front of them, trying to prevent them from getting to the point that he believes his team could get to. That is something to be concerned about. It's hard to look at Noot Noot and go, oh yeah, they're the favorite. I would actually argue it's the other way around in this matchup. I would say Complexity is definitely the favorite, given that Complexity is a pretty strong team in Game Changers in North America.
I think it's interesting because Noot Noot, I feel like, has been underestimated throughout, since the beginning of the Open Qualifier, since even that Series 1 and the improvement that they've made. I feel like it's something that you need to take into account, and they've proven it with the gameplay that they have as a team and the individual performances that they've had every single time. I think Noot Noot can bring yet another upset. They showed so many ideas yesterday, and I feel like it's going to continue going with Complexity.
Well, we'll see if Coach is right after all, but Box, someone you mentioned earlier that deserves so much more praise for how well they've performed so far, coming out of nowhere, is someone like Malibu on this roster. Talk to me about these stats.
Look, everyone raise your hand if you knew who Malibu was prior to September. I noticed no one's hands are up because there's no one seen. But let's be fair. Malibu basically came out of nowhere. Malibu's first tracked match was Supergirl Gamer Pro September 16th of this year. Prior to that, crickets. No one knows where this player came from, and it feels very Demon 1-esque. It reminds me of Narrate, a player who played through Challengers as well. Pretty much just a find coming from the dwellings of ranked play. And wow, what an addition it's been. Malibu is actually one of the top performers in the series that they played against Shopify Rebellion. Even though they lost, Malibu ended up going 63-44 with 25 assists, 314 ACS, really popping off as Sova and KO. I think going 28-20 and 28-18. Pretty strong performances. It wasn't enough to push them over the line, but it's one of the reasons why this team is here in the first place.
Well, they are getting close to near the end of the line in the best of ways for that final spot. I mean, big upsets, as Drya said earlier, of, defeating DSG, who were that team to watch out for, to going to a third map against Shopify Rebellion. And their last laugh even is on the line, and it's against some tough competition. Let's talk about Complexity, storied roster who have made every GC series main event thus far, or at least this year, and they're a team that is making their climb to the top to be Titans of North America. Dryad, it's kind of uncharacteristic to see Complexity in the lower bracket that early, but are they back? Were you inspired by that FlyQuest win yesterday?
Are they back? I really don't know, because Complexity, they have some matches where they look like, honestly, the greatest team. And then it's because of this roster that you're looking at right now, right? Everybody individually, we know since last year how good they've been, Jazzy and Lays especially, but I think everybody else has had their great moments to shine. But I also think they have a problem with consistency, because a team that has so much potential, you would expect to be always first, always second, and that hasn't always been the case, right? Sometimes they do have struggle against teams that come out of nowhere, like it could be Noot Noot today.
Here's the wild thing about this roster. Yeah, you might look at them and say, hey, they're in the lower bracket, and this is not where we would expect Complexity to be. But if you actually look at the results going back to the start of Game Changers this year, they've only ever lost to 3 teams. They lost to CLG Red 1 time in an open qualifier. Otherwise, it's been V1 and Wingman Patrol / XSET, originally the XSET core, who then became Wingman Patrol. That team has been their kryptonite. That team has always been their kryptonite. It's one of the reasons why they've ended up either eliminated or dropped down into a lower bracket before, and V1 beats everybody. So realistically, they struggle against one team that other teams don't also always struggle against. This team is way better than I think maybe the statistics might indicate. And if you look at the standings, you can see what I'm talking about. Complexity is just 10 points behind Shopify Rebellion. Shopify Rebellion being the team that looked the best for North America at the end of last year. That kind of illustrates just how good this team is, or at least should be. I think we really need to see them step up here, because obviously this is their last chance to stamp a position and a ticket over to Sao Paulo.
And Bach, I mean, Complexity, such a confident team. Yes, had that shaky start, but this shouldn't be a match they lose, right? Should fans have doubts because of that Wingman Patrol loss? You seem to think that's just a one-off thing. Could it be a two-off thing? Are you confident about Complexity going forward?
The coach of Noot Noot says their team's the favorite, but in this series, I can't really point to anyone other than Complexity as the favorite. I do believe this is Complexity series to lose, meaning if they come in and underestimate their opponent, which many teams do with free agent rosters like Noot Noot, it could backfire. I don't necessarily anticipate that. I believe that Complexity has too much playing history. Their map pool is maybe a little bit deep, and Noot Noot's kind of an awkward one. It seems like they play whatever they feel like playing a given day. Doesn't really feel like they have a dedicated pick. They do have a dedicated ban, but that's about it. I think that Complexity does have the edge, just based on the experience and the map pool depth.
Absolutely. And Noot have that strong core, been together for a long time, and even though they're unsigned, hey, maybe after today, some more should be keeping their eyes on them. But Triad, facing a difficult team like Complexity, it's their diverse strategy book that seems to catch teams off guard, and of course their flexibility. And Lace in particular is that player that can fill the gaps this team needs.
Because, you mentioned exactly what is the case for Noot Noot, a team that is kind of playing every map, looking very flexible, looking very comfortable, very creative, but somebody that's also just like that is Lace. Has been playing 6 agents, as you see on screen, and that is not, just 1 or 2 roles. Has played every single role so far, and I think when I think of Lace, I think of last year, we saw a lot of Lace on Sage, for example, was a demon on Sage, but now it has turned into a lot more like Raze, like Omen, and has looked so good with so much variety and the complexity of being able to play all this. I think it's just awesome to see from Lace, and I mean, Lace can be the key to success for Complexity today.
Lace had a big game too, playing as Cypher against FlyQuest Red. Ended up top performing in the series, played Omen and Cypher in that game. It was a good idea of what they could expect from the flexibility standpoint with Lace, but it was also nice to see that this team could reset. They lost an upper bracket quarterfinal match that I think a lot of people had them positioned as favorites, kind of similar to the position they find themselves in today. But again, because of the history between those teams, it wasn't necessarily as easy for Complexity as maybe a lot of people might anticipate. But Lace bounced back, and Lace delivered in the way that we expect Lace to, and I think that'll carry forward into today as well.
Let's see if she can do it again today. Will this be an easy match for Complexity, or what kind of upset? What kind of pot can we stir today? Let's go into map selection to figure out where we're going to first. Complexity coming in as our higher seed, and look at this. Lotus is picked by Noot Noot, Bind picked by Complexity, and Haven as the decider. So, crazy. Dryad, is Noot Noot going to Lotus? Is this real? Is this a challenge on Complexity's favorite map?
I was thinking a little bit about how these maps would look, and we were kind of talking about it as well. And if anything, I feel like we expected Complexity to pick Lotus and the Noot Noot to pick Bind. And now when you look at the stats, when you look at the recent score for Noot Noot, you might think, okay, Bind might not be the greatest of all the maps that they have, but it's actually, this is the map where they almost beat version 1, and it was in 11-13 that they lost. And this is the map that the coach was talking about, discussing how close it was and how the small mistakes cost them to lose it. So I'm excited to see potentially all those 3 maps being played.
I'm going to be honest. This is a gutsy call coming in from Noot Noot to select Lotus against Complexity. Go back to when the map was first added into the pool that was back in Game Changer Series 2. Complexity's 8-2 on the map. They're very competent on Lotus. They feel very strong. It's a pretty gutsy call to go after this. This is kind of like if you won a fight in high school and then you're like, I can step into the ring with UFC. I feel comfortable. It's just a completely different environment than maybe you're anticipating. So it is kind of a risk, but it could be a reward. If Noot Noot has something that might catch Complexity off guard, maybe there's a chance that Complexity isn't prepared for it, but it's hard to anticipate that given the volume of play that Complexity's had on the map already.
Our agent select is going down, and maybe you're trying to spark up some nightmares in Complexity. Like, I don't know, losing that 13-2 to Wingman Patrol. You studied the heck out of that VOD, and you see how you can crack that Complexity egg. And reminder, everyone, yeah, best of 3 and whatnot, but this is the lower bracket. The team that loses is not going to the World Championship. And is it Nunu pulling off another upset? They've already knocked out one top dog of DSG, and man, made Shopify really sweat for it. But Dryad, what's your reaction here to this agent select?
I think in general, agent select, nothing too surprising, but one thing that I'm very excited to see is going to be Carrie against Claudia going against each other in the Sentinel role and the Killjoy role specifically. I already talked about Carrie as being, you know, the kind of up-and-coming player almost, the player that you want to keep an eye on for what is going to be the future of what they're going to do next. But also Claudia, so well known in the scene, and as they two go against each other, I think there's something very interesting as they also get support from those explosive Raze players that we've already talked about. I know we always mention Jazzykins, but one of the reasons why Complexity like this map so much as well is Jazzykins and how explosive she can really be here.
This is a bit of an odd comp too. You don't see many teams playing Fade on this map. A lot of teams opt for Sky. So Noot Noot maybe catches them off guard a little bit. It's something you see a few of the teams that were coming in through the qualifier stage playing. I don't know if that's going to be like a win con for Noot Noot. I just don't know if it's going to have the same level of impact that a Sky can with those dogs and flashes.
I'm excited to get into this first game. Will Malibu carry the team to victory for Noot Noot? Will Lace provide the versatility, the diverse agent pool that this team needs to go through to the next round? I can think of 2 amazing casters to bring us through all the action, so let's send it over to Mimi and Wyatt.
Thanks very much, Lemon Kiwi. Wyatt, we have a good one on our hands. Thus far, Noot Noot has been the team that everyone has underestimated, and they keep breaking their expectations, getting upset wins over DSG, playing close matches against the top dogs, and they're making another bold move here, picking Complexity's probably their best map into them.
It's a map where Jazzy's IGLing shines, Lotus, and it's a map that Complexity, as of right now, will have played 7 times in Game Changers 3. You can see exactly why Noot Noot would want to pick this into them, despite it being their home map. they are going to come out heavy with the counter-stratting and understanding of what Cole liked to do here.
Complexity was the runner-up in GC2, but they want a shot in Brazil. They want to be that second squad to represent and to really get their lower bracket run rolling here. It has to begin versus Noot Noot. Complexity, starting on the attacking side here, will begin with a default towards C.
You can see that early fight for the A control, the defensive side, Noot Noot taking that. Ever crucial early on Lotus.
To the C site though. Already utility investment. It's a full commitment for Complexity, but no one is here to contest. Noot Noot will be set up for the retake.
It's going to be that full 5-on-5. Little utility, of course, on the first round. A lot of it just going to come down to who can trade more effectively.
C's already in. That'll be the go symbol for Complexity. No flank on this one. Everyone is committed to fighting on the site for the moment from Cole. Claudia forward. Just that 1-for-1 trade out. And this Viper wall, really the biggest issue for Noot Noot right now. They do have that easy utility to go through. Last of all, they go. The decay impactful in this situation. It stays even for the moment. Now Complexity will fall off the site as a final member of their team starts to fall on down. It's on to Raze alone, and they cannot get it done. Noot Noot, great retake to start.
Both teams trading out very effectively, honestly, but it's Carry making the difference, winning that second 1v1 at the very end.
Excellent work out of them. And for Noot Noot, that's exactly the momentum you need. They've been this team who has gotten close against these top squads. One of the closest games we've seen from version 1 in Game Changers, taking a map off of Shopify, almost upsetting them just in that last round. So continuing that momentum, looking at another signed team and not just getting it close, but actually getting that upset win is their biggest goal.
Absolutely. So much on the line here for Complexity. A chance to actually make it to Game Changers champions if they can make this lower bracket run. This is the first of 3 necessary wins that they're going to have on that path.
And that path is never easy, but Complexity is experienced. For GC2, it really felt like the formative time for this team. Jazzykins getting used to IGLing, developing a roster that works. This is their chance to prove they're a consistent top dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Jazzy, genuinely so impressive on this duelist and IGL role here. Actually, a little bit of damage being done by Complexity, unexpected, and it's Jazzy herself who's able to recover that Guardian, could be pivotal and actually winning this fight out, gets another with it.
She's still a star player after all. Raze has a great flank as well, but whipping out on the shots. Malibu still alive, but getting pushed from the other side. Jazzy's taken down. There's lots of space bought here for Noot Noot. Only Lacey alone in the 1v2. The damage was done. Only one shot needed with the Marshall, but the second can't quite connect.
Listen, you'll take that all day long if you're Complexity. Some serious damage done. One player remaining with a Bulldog, armor even broken for that matter. So, economy not able to get out of control by any means.
These retakes will continue to be so important on Lotus for Noot Noot. For a team that just came up so recently, really a test of their coordination on a map like this, especially, like we mentioned already, when picking into a strong suit for your opponent. If you can get that big lead on defense, Lotus really can be the catalyst to get something done on this map.
When you see a little clutch situation presented to Lace at the end there as well, always going to believe in her. She's such a fantastic player. Really stepped up for this Complexity side over this entire year, really.
Zan has the only real weapon in this one and is going to try and make a play up mid. In hand and spots out at least 2 players in this area. We'll use their teammate as a bit of cannon fodder, but not to be. They fall, and it's a great advantage for Complexity.
A nice slow open here from Cole. They were just waiting out that early aggression. Read that nicely, and from here on out, superior weapon is significantly more useful. They just have to re-clear out into A. That Sky Flash is going to get the ping. Full info here on Summertime. If she can even get one, that would be a miracle at this point. And, well, there is the miracle. What a shot. But at this point, still, Complexity doing a nice job just slowly taking back pieces of map control, working into this A exec.
Re-clearing is so important on this map, and Cole proving why they're so experienced here. Only one more player that could really prove an issue in this site, but she's simply taken down with the dog in the mix. Carry will get a little bit more damage in, but Complexity, this is their round to clean up.
Frankly, a right amount of damage from Noot Noot, given how Complexity have just been playing this round in such a patient manner. Really crossing their T's, dotting their I's, not letting anything slip by. These Noot Noot players proving that individual skill for sure. Really going to get cleaned up. Complexity now their first on the board.
Imperative to show that skill for these players still so new onto the main stage here in Game Changers. Into our first rifle round of the game, though, and this is where that ult economy comes into play. A strong start from Carrie means she's just one away from the lockdown. Same to be said for Malibu, so maybe an opportunity for Noot Noot to fight for one of these extremities and get one of those critical ults online.
Yeah, it looks like Noot Noot are going to go for that fast play, taking A control. You're going to see this dance between that defensive duo, trio, always with the fade, always with the raise. And then on the attacker side, a lot of pressure on Raze to actually take control on the Viper here. Working off that wall, taking space, so crucial towards A.
And you're seeing one of the big strengths already of Noot Noot's difference in comp, playing that Fnatic comp versus the more standard North American comp. The complexity is rocking, having those reveals to fight forward on the extremities, put those in really awkward angles. It really does make up for the lack of flashes that you do get with that Scott.
Yeah, and it's that seize from the fade that is so fantastic at locking down A. I mean, look at that amalgam of utility, and actually the nade is going to take down Kara. A lovely sync of utility that's going to shut down a player with an ultimate as well. Those Seekers, pivotal for a site exec.
Here comes the reaction, though, from Complexity. They'll pivot back to the C site, and that Astra in question is anchoring. Millie will stick around for the moment, dodges out of the paranoia, but has no help on this side. How much can they get done? One onto Jazzy, second off the headshot. Millie cutting them down 4-3. Raze left alone, tucking tail. Will try and run out of this one, but Noot Noot look like they've done enough, that is, unless Raze can make something of this. 3 kills already, would need the ace, but the bullets walk up forward, and Malibu's off angle, just not quite checked.
Look at the fantastic team play in that round from Noot Noot. You got a full display of the comp you just mentioned. How the Astra pulls, the fade sees, and of course, the Raze being the linchpin of everything coming together. Well done here from Millie to lock this down. But look at what the attacking side had to work through. They're all vulnerable up by the Viper utility. They're getting split apart from a Gravwell. It's just fantastic team play.
And that will be the reset point for Complexity's economy here as well. Looks like they might want to change the pace, though, for these members queued up towards B.
It does look like they want to go for a quick play here with this bad buy. Once again, you can see towards that A side in the meantime, Noot Noot, they are intent on controlling that side of the map early.
Okay, summertime. Not ready for how far up Jazzykins is, and here comes the showstopper over the top. It's the Raze to distract, and the shot from Malibu to connect. A big resource taken off the board.
They want to go for this rotate in to see through the door, but they're actually going to get stalled out just a bit. This timing isn't really going to work out, but things will work out if you get a 2-tap headshot with a ghost to open this up. Millie, once again, going to have to seriously anchor on the site. Zan on the rotate, and I love how she's working around here. They are not expecting this at all. Complexity all going down to the flank. Millie, a savant on this C site.
The anchoring from this player has been absurd thus far. 2 rounds in a row where it is all Millie holding things down. 9-3 to start on the Astra, and this is exactly what Noot Noot needed to get things in control. Remember the record here for Complexity, 11-5 on this map. This is where they felt it was their home ground, and Noot Noot is a risk, but thus far, we're seeing why they took that in the map veto process.
Now, of course, that was just an eco round, but if we continue to see a pattern like that, where Complexity are trying to make these fast pivots into sites, while Noot Noot have tons of utility available, they are going to get crunched in the choke points against this comp.
I see with the operator this time, attacking side on the Omen, as it will be this contact play towards C. They think there's a weakness here, realizing that only the Astra is anchoring this part of the map, but Millie, this time and again, how adept they are at holding the space here. And again, the entry's down. Jazzykins off the cards, but Millie is blinded up by multiple pieces of utility. Ryuto will keep her in it for a moment, and lockdown support is excellent. Still, Millie will fall.
He's going to force all these players out, and look at the spawn side. This flank coming in, 2 Noot Noot players off that A control. Complexity not expecting it, but they win out the duels. A tragedy for Noot Noot.
Not quite ready for those angles. Not expecting the players of Noot Noot to have rotated back that quickly. It didn't matter. Zan, though, could change that. They're in a sneaky position here close on the board. They've already got one adjustment not there, though. It leaves it all on Carry. 1 versus 3, but a lot of information. It's a herd of Buffalo stomping their way towards the revolving door, but the shots are not landing. So, Complexity recovering a bit for their second round.
Recovering, but in scary fashion. You could really see them losing that round. Frankly, they were in position to. I love how Noot Noot played that. The flank coming in all the way down through A, off that lockdown. An excellent call. It just came down to whiffed shots.
And sometimes that's all it is to change something. And the brutal part is, too, that that's just going to be the reset point instantly for Noot Noot. The question, though, is, will they make a play off the ults they have? Showstopper is online. A big asset here.
Op coming out in the hands of Place, actually. The attacking Omen off. Very, very rare. Actually, once again, though, look over towards A. They never have early control on this section of the map.
Yeah, this Raze comp is just so good at locking down that A extremity. It always has to be these reclears, something that Cole has honestly had a lot of success with thus far, but this time might not be the reclear. It's actually aggression out from Noot Noot instead, and Lace is on the right angle here, holding for the jump peak, and takes the shot onto Zan. Excellent work.
I mean, you expect nothing less from Lace, who has just been one of the best players in the scene, and I don't say that lightly in 2023. Fantastic on so many different roles in this tournament. Playing the Sentinel, playing Omen, playing Breach, and top fragging full matches with that combination of agents. It is just madness. She is utterly amazing right now.
To me, if you disqualify every player on version 1 from the ranking, she had to have been the best player from GC2. Her performance there was absolutely unreal. You'll have to keep that up in this game as well. Hit to the site pretty clean, these classics. Not a worry for Complexity.
I'm interested in seeing what Complexity are now going to bring into this round. They've got a lot of ultimates. What I'm interested in specifically, though, is the pace that they're playing at. I honestly think they got kind of lucky to win that last gun round. They made a fast play early on again, where they sent Jazzy into the C site, and the rest of the team got cut off because of that Astro grab. Well, I don't actually like how they've been playing around this defensive utility so far. So I want to see if they're going to make a pace adjustment, slow things down. They have to actually bring the utility out and then go for a big exec.
That they do. Lacey again on this operator, really putting a priority on holding the extremities as Raze a bit of a play here. They've hinged their way up into the Viper smoke of their opponent and is holding for a bit more of that A aggression. Malibu, though, was ready for the antics. A great start to this round for the defense.
Yeah, Malibu, the unknown, taking down the underrated in that 1v1 same agent duel over towards A. Raze, excellent in this tournament, frankly, a name not mentioned enough.
One of those stars that gets hidden behind the likes of Jazzy and Lace for Complexity. Lockdown is in play, though. Looks to be a pivot towards C here for Cole.
They are testing Millie on the C side, and so far she has stood up to it every single time.
Turret is down. They execute. Forthcoming in but a moment. Rotates are here quite swiftly. See Astro Yuko there to stall, and it's right at a Millie, but only one this time. No more heroics from the anchor. Carrie's forced to back up, and now that lockdown is available in the post.
With this native, and actually, it was quite early. Raised in off of that. The audio not there for Complexity. The perfect time to use it, and Zan on the angle to clean up the third as well. What a little combination there. Those attacking Cole players deafened, had no idea that that ultimate was coming in.
They're looking unreal on the Raze. For Zan right now, perfect movement there, perfect combination of the utility, and that's going to signal the first time out here for Complexity.
I think this is the perfect time for a timeout. I really think they need to slow things down, make an adjustment on this attack side with their pace. Hopefully that's what they're going to be discussing right now.
What I'm looking at is one of the biggest issues is what you mentioned earlier with constantly losing that A lobby control. The Fade composition is just so good for taking that space, so they feel pressured to have to rely on these reclears. But consistently, it hasn't really been those reclears coming out. It's been Cole attempting these lurks that have been punished in multiple rounds that just don't seem to have a solution to that area of the map right now.
And Millie has simply not succumb to this pressure in any way. Their site has gotten hit so many times in just the 8 rounds that we've seen, and every single time, 1 kill the minimum. It's Complexity now with that timeout. Coach Joe, who came in GC2, and we saw the impact that he had. We'll see what he can do here with the team.
And the players talked a lot about his addition and how it leveled up Complexity to a team that was always making middle-of-the-pack performances in previous game changers to one that was finding top placements at GC2. The call, though, looks like it might be another one of these B attempts for Cole.
Looks like they may want to take the site fast. You can see Raze has the judge. They're intending on getting in, getting the spike down, getting the Viper's pit down, and then Raze being the linchpin with that judge.
As he's in fast already, these players will be forced away from Noot Noot, so that post plant at very least is assured.
Lockdown is going to come in just to clear that space. It is the Wombo combo of lockdown, get the site, Viper's pit, keep the site.
That space will be held for the moment, and the spike is now planted. With that extra time bought by the lockdown, the post-plant positioning is excellent for Cole.
It's all going to be about this Viper's pit. Malibu, possibly with a counter pit if they want to go for that line of retake.
It's an option. No big ults, though. Fade Haunt could prove critical as well, but they have to go quickly. Time running out on that spike, and a reflank coming in soon towards A. Noot Noot have to make the play. When will they pop through the smoke? In a moment, they're not ready though. Kara takes down 3 and Raze is there to clean up on the final player. Excellent hold in the post for Complexity.
You just can't walk into Kara's crosshair like that. She has been fantastic with that smooth, calculated aim. We often see her just tapping players down. One of those players where it looks like the Guardian was just built for them. It's so fantastic in those type of situations.
And that is where you do see one of the weaknesses of this Fade composition. If you use those cats early, you lack some big tools like the flashes, like the Skydog, to get back in and re-clear a pit like that.
Once again, Noot Noot, you can see that trio on the A side, control taken, and Raze just never able to get past that main door.
Jazzy just repeating history. It's another double satchel into the B site. And again, it's uncontested. This time, though, it seems like she might want to go a little bit deeper. Rocket popped up, ready for the players towards Baby Door, but no one's really going to receive that. Lots of util sent the other direction. This will buy space, though.
Man, if that rocket was just a couple inches further, I think that was a kill. Jazzy's going to get close up with the judge, and it's so difficult to trade this out. You can see the fear in Zan's eyes.
Maybe a bit of an overpush, though, because on the other side, another player is fallen, and Zan's just doing everything here, it would appear. Judge is not a worry, nor the player there to trade. So 2v4 now in this post plant. How can Complexity hold on? Cosmic Divide will lock them off from the site. They have a bit more stall. This Viper Molly swing has to come now. This Harry's just holding on that defuse, and Millie's there in time. Noot Noot, they learn from their mistakes. B site hit will not work twice in a row.
Fantastic wall from Millie. Was looking on the previous to see if they'd use it on the retake, but ample opportunity to do so on that one. Just locks down the retake 100%.
Beautiful work, and so much credit has to be given to Zan here. Not really anything about the team play or anything else, just individual prowess there to beat out Jazzy on the judge. Crosshair placement was perfection.
Zan, a player we certainly haven't seen a lot of, going up against the likes of one of the most storied duelists in the GC scene. Years of championships, deep runs for Jazzykins. And so far for Noot Noot, there's been a well-deserved amount of talk about Malibu, this new player, but Zan's certainly something to prove.
And that's the thing about Noot Noot. All of these players are proving themselves throughout this tournament, giving us that moment where you realize that this isn't just a prospect, this is someone that could really be a future star.
Speaking of potential pressure coming in on Malibu, is Complexity actually opting to fight for A control this time. They want to retake it in the mid-round. They've done a nice job of drawing out the util. You can see on Malibu's screen right now, on a molly to speak of. Cole should be able to get out the door here.
That smoke will go down, but Malibu gets out of dodge for the moment, and support is here. Nade invested, Viper Wall goes up, and all was for naught. Complexity do not have A control.
I love what they did just then, though. They drew out all the Fade util, the Raze nade, all the Viper util, and now they're going to go into a big hit. This is what I was hoping to see. Seekers pop, they're going to go in off the back of that.
Claudia was waiting this whole time on the lurk, holding onto this space, but not taking down the util. Instead, straight through the smoke comes Carry with a spam. It's a big kill to set up this retake.
Spike working towards the site now. Malibu still with that Viper's pit, possibly with the retake. It is Lace with that attacking off. Raze with an aggressive line swing through Malibu. The new player, the new upcoming star potentially in the making. Fantastic work on the retake, flaming too. And it's just Lace with the op. I always believe when Lace is the last one alive, but all for naught. A valiant effort though.
A nice try, but it's Noot Noot's retakes that have been excellent throughout this half. And they've already built a very, very respectable defensive half. 7-4, the score in their favor. And it seems like all of that has been built off the retakes. For a young team, the coordination in those situations has just been sublime.
Despite the plant going down, the complexity economy remains pretty meh. They've got a not particularly great buy here. Stinger, Spectre, a couple Guardians. We'll see if they can make do and squeeze out one last round here.
This time it will be a lobby contested. Cole want to go early. We haven't seen this since the very first few rounds of the game, and he was not prepared for it. Love the adaptation, but do they have what it takes to close out this round? Because that weaponry is still far weaker, even if this A site is quite open.
They're gonna go off the back of that, work their way through tree, clear out all of that space. They know that they've got the A site fully under their control, and now we look towards the bottom of the map. Claudia on that lure, perfect timing to pick up Zan. Malibu trying to trade through the smoke, goes down as well. Lovely timing from Claudia there.
That might just be enough. Only 2 players left to try and make this retake happen, and both of them have just been spotted out by that Trailblazer. Paranoia on standby for Lacey and 2 players for that contact to be queued up off of.
Complexity on this bad buy. That's gonna clean things up. That's Millie going down. Ball in the hands of Terry. An impossible situation. Trade is there from the IGL duelist Jazzykins, leading her team 5 rounds on this attacking side. Since that tech pause as well, working in tandem with Coach Joe, able to get a few more very needed rounds on the board.
It's a start that Cole need into the second half to have those few more rounds, a bit of a buffer to build off of. Now we get to see how their comp is going to play out on this defensive side. Noot Noot was defined by that fade raise combination and how well it could control a lobby. Cole doesn't quite have those same tools.
We've seen previously in all these Lotus games that Cole had played, the Jazzy's been picking up the AWP quite a bit, that AWPing raise, and she's looked fantastic. Just exuding confidence when it's been in her hands.
Complexity 3 strong on the pistol round towards the C site. Looking to get a little bit of space here, maybe harvest up an orb early on, as Jazzy will be the tip of the spear on that matter. Pull back stalk, and a rumor to follow for Noot Noot to try to scale up on this space. But for now, it's akin to that first half, with a slower default for Noot.
In the meantime, Malibu over on that A side, working off their wall, claiming some space. Noot Noot just poking and prodding all over the map. They've rotated the spike over to the A side, though. It looks like they want to gather up for an execute.
Summertime has worked far up off of this wall, and Complexity has relatively minimal utility to hold on to this site. Only 1 molly to speak of, but they will threaten that pinch back towards the B site. That'll keep players locked in for the moment from Complexity, but it will draw for rotations. Dog will go deep, and Malibu will try and operate on this lurk. It does seem like that decision is to commit into this B site. Fade Haunt goes in. It's broken instantly, and that'll again call for yet another pivot. Noot Noot really playing with the rotation timings here, and they might have found the correct moment. Claudia is alone, but support is coming in quickly, and the molly buys just enough time for her to stay alive. Summertime into the site. The shot's whiffing completely, though, but Lacey is there for support still. It's trades in favor of Noot Noot. They have themselves a site here. Can they take Raze, though? Absolutely. Zan takes her down, and now a 2v4 on the retake.
Love how Noot Noot played that just then. Flash coming through from Kara, dropping down. Actually going to get that first kill on Zan. Kara and Jazzykins, 2 fantastic players in their own right in this 2v3. Gathered up outside the site of the new players. Malibu taking that first duel tap straight to the dome of Kara. And now it's all on Jazzykins. Such a difficult 1v3. Millie cleaning things up. And I love how Noot Noot approached that. Such an excellent job just removing utility pieces in different areas of the map, spreading out those defenders, keeping them unsure of which site they'd actually go for that spike plan at.
I mean, you can barely count on hands how many times they pivoted back and forth between A and B, pulling rotations every which way, and they picked the perfect timing to find that vulnerable A site, and a few critical missed opportunities, a few little whiffs from Cole, from those initial 2 defenders, ends in a great start to this half for Noot Noot.
Doesn't look like Complexity want to fight A too aggressively here, so Noot Noot should take control rather easily with that Haunt coming out and Zan satcheling across. Wall up, space taken. A lot of pressure towards A early, but you can see Cole, they are stacked up for this.
Dog will clear into the revolving door room, but the question is, how many players are spotted? The Seas has one. Will the nade connect? Not quite. Lacey's still alive, so the stack stays unknown. When do they spring the mousetrap? The moment is nigh. They're coming in more than just one. Kari lines them all up. The stack dismantled by one, and Noot Noot back in control of the round.
Noot Noot were considering, they're like, maybe we should rotate into B off that stack, and then no, it's fine. We can just go to A.
Simply
Great
spray them all
beginning
with a
to
bulldog.
this map.
All good.
It's just that easy. It is just that easy.
Great work out of them to get this round going. And my biggest question going into the rifle rounds now is, what is Complexity's approach to A lobby? We have not seen them investing those raise nades or anything to get forward space thus far. And just like in the first half, Noot Noot has been using that A lobby control to great effect in both of the mid rounds we've watched thus far.
I mentioned it just before this half started. In the previous Lotus games, Jazzy's off essential for the defensive play of Complexity's side. And with the economy in this state, losing the pistol, it's just that much harder to actually get the AWP online. It's so expensive, you won't really be able to purchase it.
Kara just gonna fall to the spike here, and yeah, money is really the big issue right now, because when you're at this big of a deficit, your opponent only needs 4 rounds to close this game out. You have maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to even get that AWP online, and if you lose it once, that could just be the game over.
And it's cold, full investing here. 3 heavy armors. Everything might ride on this round right here.
It absolutely could. That bonus is looking strong for Noot Noot. 3 bulldogs, a rifle to speak of. They have all the trimmings of a potential upset in this round. Maybe one even in this map as a whole. Towards C lobby, it'll be a cross for Raze, and a bait for Kara on the other side. But that's not where Noot is committing. Instead, they're running back towards this A site, which was never claimed by Cole.
Again, it's Malibu taking all of this space here and allowing the team to rotate with free map control.
Bloody on the site. Solo Anchor gets one. The spring not quite connecting for another, but support is inbound. Lacey, the hero from the other side, leaves it all on Malibu. The new star for this squad. Can she get it done? Quite. Jazzy on the immediate shutdown, and Complexity contend with that round quite easily.
What a swift rotation from Cole. That's an aspect of their game that they've been great at here on Lotus. An aspect that Jazzy, the IGLing, brings to the squad. It was Newton going for a very similar approach to this round that he did on the previous. Fighting towards C, Malibu takes that control A, and then they work back into the A exec. Cole were so ready for it this time.
This time, though, it will be aggressive control towards A lobby for Complexity. Raise nade going in, 3 players ready to follow that one up.
From the first time, Malibu is really going to be feeling serious pressure here, so we'll see how she responds to this new situation.
Again, though, it's Noot Noot just absorbing that aggression and claiming space elsewhere on this map. They're yet to touch this B site. This time, Spike is postured in that direction. With Spinus going in, Claudia could be in danger, and she will fall. But is that the call for the rotation yet? Again, revolving door is tapped. The Spike not going anywhere yet. Noot Noot, experts at playing with this mid-round, forcing their opponent to make a move, and the move will happen. Complexity diving through the smoke, straight into their death. Summertime 4-3. Raze spotted on the C site, but somehow still finding 2. The anchor, though, taken down in due time. Jazzykins leaves Raze just alone in a 1 versus 2. They're going to be spotted instantly with this ultimate. Everyone on Noot Noot can fall away. Even a big reflank going on here for Carrot.
Yeah, I love this decision from Carrie. Summertime on for the ace here as well. Raze still can't do a damn thing. Molly going out to try and deny, and there it is from Summertime. That's going to be the ace. Open up the round with a crazy first blood shot, closing things out in that 2v1. Noot Noot ever closer to reaching this map win.
And beyond just getting the ace there for Summertime, I love the way that Noot Noot is manipulating that fade deafening mechanic. When they invest the ult there, they know that it hits the last player alive for Complexity. So instantly, you see the Killjoy fully sprinting, running around the whole other side of the map to set up a contingency plan. I'm sure Summertime's alone on the site, but you'll never expect someone to have committed to that crazy big flank at that latest stage in the round.
We're going to come into this buying what they can, ensuring they'll have a full on the next. Malibu again over on that A side, taking all of that space. And that early pressure isn't felt. Jazzy going for some kind of timing, but just gets shut down by Millie. And with a minute 20 on the clock, they really don't have to rush things this Noot Noot side.
Wait, look where Malibu is again. She's pushed all the way into their spawn. Lacey's ready for it, but it's no matter for Malibu. Another massive kill for her, and this round, it seems before it even really got going, is wrapped up for Noot Noot. This is going to be 11.
See if Cole opt to go for a little bit of damage here, or maybe bring these rifles into the next round.
Enemy remaining.
Economy isn't out of control for Noot Noot. At this point, Ray's just going to be on the save here. Cole on the precipice of losing a map that they pick over and over and over again to a team on their deepest run ever, an unsigned team, all the way in you know, the main event here on their deepest run, potentially knocking out Cole, who are trying to make it to Game Changers champions in the best form we've ever seen them.
And Noot Noot, not just their deepest run, but for a lot of these players, their only run. 4 out of 5 members of this team we've never seen in a main event before, and Complexity was the runner-up of GC2. But this is really the only tournament that matters. A top placement here, winning this tournament, that slot at Brazil. It's the goal for teams like Cole that have been grinding at this for so long. With a pivotal round ahead of us, it's another timeout for Complexity.
Coach Joe getting back into the mix, working with Jazzy here, trying to figure out how they can drag themselves back into this game against a Noot Noot that are playing with a lot of confidence, really driven by Malibu, the new player added between GC2 and GC3, the one change for this Noot Noot squad. And you can just see the tangible impact that they're bringing. The control of the willingness to take their space, to take that space on their lonesome, rather, push all the way up past smokes, find timings, find openings. Just fantastic gameplay from a player we've just never seen before.
And you really have to critique how much Complexity has struggled to maintain map control on the extremities. Like you're mentioning, every round Malibu's getting a lurk up A. Every round, it's just that late push which gives Noot Noot so many options to work with in the mid-round. One of the big strengths of picking the Sky instead the Fade is having those flashes to re-clear, get info in the mid-round, and I haven't really seen the defensive rotation from Complexity benefiting from that.
And they've gone for the adjustment you just mentioned. You can see that trio of Complexity over towards the A side. That early nade is going to come out, flash as well. Space being controlled by Cole. They've realized the error they made in the previous rounds, and they intend on rectifying it. What a first kill from Jazzy.
Reaction will be faster into the C site though. Rays, Maulers, time being bought for their teammates to rotate in, and Lacey is there in a snap. Teleport across into the C site. Will that call for a cancel from the side of Noot Noot? It might now have to, because Summertime is taken down through the smoke.
Yeah, nice spam through from Rays. And now Complexity full map control here. It's Jazzy still locking down A. Information on B with the KJ setup. And the rest of that defensive side on Cole, they're stacked towards C. This setup is going to be nigh impossible to crack here for the 3 remaining Noot Noot players.
A big one for Complexity to win. Their money was on the ropes. Had they won this round, or, lost it, it could have been that catalyst to spiral into a first map win here for Noot Noot. But Complexity, staying in it. Love the adaptation at that timeout.
Now, goes down, Noot Noot trying to explode through the smoke onto the site. The Complexity never thought that they were actually going to get cut of noise in the mid-round. Didn't actually amount to anything, but you are joking. Kari with 3 through the smoke. 15 seconds on the clock, though. Does she even have enough time to get to a site?
10 seconds
Gotta show us what those legs can do, Kari. She's trying to hoof it all the way back towards B. But Jazzy should hear this in a moment. She has to plant now, and there's just not enough time. Kari, not quite fast enough. It could have been heroics. It could have been a moment for Noot Noot to try and close this game out. But Complexity just barely hold on.
I mean, we were on the precipice of an obscene clutch. Complexity played that perfectly in the 5v3. They did not fall for the noise cut in the mid-round. They remained set up for this re-hit onto the C site, and Jesus, it almost crumbled, but normalcy restored Complexity still in the mix off that timeout. Again, we're just seeing the impact of Coach Joe here.
Here comes the ult, so for Noot Noot. Lockdown, Viper's Pit in the post plant. That Raise Rocket to work with as well. The perfect combination to get yourself a gimme round. This might be the hardest test for Complexity in this half.
Look at this rotation call from Jazzy, though. There's already 3 players on this A side. Lockdown coming in. They're going to be feeling the pressure here.
They do have tools, though, to play the retake. Claudia has a lockdown of her own, but it can be tough to get the full value out of that ultimate on an A retake. Rocket committed. Zan is into the site, and the teleport. Very clutch there from Lacey to stay in it.
Immediately drops back down as well.
Malibu, they're already this deep in, but punished straight through the smoke. Lacey takes her down. Millie still left in this one. It's a 2 versus 4 spike still yet to be planted, but Claudia on the scene, and Millie now alone. She's been spotted and knocked down to Complexity win a massive round.
2 rounds in a row off that timeout. They have been fantastic at reading the Noot Noot, you know, just attempt where they're going. They have, it's like Jazzy has the wall hacks on. This is 2 rounds in a row. They have remained steadfast, set up for where they're anticipating the hit to come through, and have made the correct call.
That read is so critical to have when you're on this defensive side. Really a map that is so heavily built on Lotus about defensive rotation. But another big one here for Complexity. They win this round, and its economy starts to crumble away a little bit more. Only a Sheriff in the hands of Millie to work with even in this round.
Still opting for that fast A aggression, making sure Malibu has no space to work with.
Seas connects onto the B site, and the committal is there. Jazzy rocket up, and it's connected onto Summertime. Excellent start to the round. That's a spike as well, just stuck on the floor. I mean, I almost wonder if Noot Noot should consider a save in this one.
You are divided.
It's possible. I was questioning if they were going to go for the Astral Wall, but Malibu spammed down. Malibu could have been crucial as well. Ultimate up. I expected that pit to come in to recover the spike.
This is such a critical round for Noot Noot to close out, to keep these weapons online, to keep themselves in it, and they're running out of time on that Cosmic Divide. It'll fall in but a moment, and you see the cycling of utility is excellent from Complexity. No opening left on B main.
This is why Cole picked this map. They are fantastic on this defensive side. The rotations, cycling the utility that we just saw. Now really no option for Noot Noot but to save with 30 seconds remaining. And oh, maybe even intending on going on a hunt if they want to. The economy for Noot Noot is starting to struggle late into this game. Does this upcoming team have the resolve to actually close this out?
And the question, again, comes to the ultimates. Last round, that was Noot Noot's big opportunity. They invested some key tools into it, especially that lockdown. With those changes to Killjoy, it's pretty unlikely they'll even be able to get another one in regulation here.
It's a story we've seen before where that upcoming team, they start out hot. They're able to, you know, really take it to the signed, experienced opposing side. But when things get tough, when Complexity have the ability to come back in a situation like this, can Noot Noot actually get this thing over the finish line?
And it's happened to them before. Close versus version 1, an 11-13 loss on a map. They push it close in the next one as well. Same story versus Shopify. Win a map there, can't close out the series on the final map. They've been here before. You push a top squad close, but you can't close out. And this timeout now is going to be critical if they want to let those bygones be bygones.
First one called here by Noot Noot. Really the first time in the game that they're feeling some weight being applied from the opposing side of Complexity. We've heard some strong words coming from the Noot Noot coach, some confidence being exuded. Gonna have to instill that in the players in a critical moment here deep in the tournament.
And what will the adaptation be for Noot Noot? Early on, they were getting so much value out of Malibu's lurks, constantly being allowed to walk up into this A site free and being in control of the rotations as well. But Cole's gotten a read on it. I think they've done a much better job in the last few rounds of leveraging Kara's utility, re-clearing space in the mid-round, and being in the right place at the right time to find success with these flood retakes.
Same story on A. Complexity know that controlling this area of the map, nullifying Malibu is the key to bringing this thing back.
Noot Noot, though, won't be sending a heavy presence there. Instead, it's pressure towards the B site. They're trying to get an orb online here for summertime.
C controlled, and that orb is going to be taken. You can see Summertime is 1 away. The Fate ultimate so far have been getting fantastic value as well.
C site only defended by 1 player. But Raze does have plenty of util to hold things down. 2 Viper mollies, but a risk being taken here. Satchel will connect onto them, but Sand doesn't hear anything, and so they too back away.
I was trying to see if there was any KJ utility there to be broken with that Satchel.
No. Over towards B and A. That's where the info is right now for Complexity. And they have a lot of it. That pushed up player entrenched on the A site. But B looks like it might be the destination here for Noot Noot. They're contacting up for now, but with that turret taken down, it's a question of commitment. And there's no answer just yet.
You can see Summertime, the spike carrier, intending on getting the ultimate online and using that to win out the post plant.
Claudia, risky on the jiggle. She peeks just a little bit too wide. Summertime could rip her head off, but
30 seconds left.
she's cautious for the moment. It'll be somewhat of an attempt to fake B, finishing the C here, but remember what Raze has still. Molly up, orb in play, but they're past it already. Kara takes down 1, and everyone else was segmented off from Zan. 15 seconds. The timer becomes the biggest enemy here for Noot Noot. They're still going to try and commit. Millie's in alone, trying to recover the spike, trying to get something done in this round, but Raze is just cutting them down, and there's no chance. Another save called for Noot Noot.
This is 3, maybe 4 rounds in a row now. I'm forgetting where the Noot Noot side has hit a site with 3 defending players. Complexity are playing with wall hacks. They are so aware, reading this perfectly.
And it's always with 10-15 seconds left on the clock. Noot Noot is getting no inroads in their mid-round. It seems like desperation at this point.
They're still going to have enough to buy up here. Complexity on the verge of a fantastic comeback on the map pick of their opposing side.
Well, look at the ults for Cole. They have built up a great economy here. Lockdown, Seekers, Viper's Pit. They have huge tools to win out in a retake, to continue to stall out and win these late rounds. But they will make a change. Aggression towards B, actually on sides this time. Jazzy up, and a Paranoia excellent onto Summertime. She'll be punished on his broken, and that's a spike.
Fantastic play from Complexity. Look at the utility in sync, setting up Jazzy. The one who probably made the call for that play, and the one to also get the kill off of it with that the duelist IGL role that she inhabits.
We're seeing so much depth be delivered here by Complexity in the final hour of this game. Remember, for the majority of this match, it was Noot Noot fully in control, but this might just be the round that it starts to slip through their fingers. They'll still make a go of things, though. In the 4v5, a contact up towards Zach.
And we will see if Noot Noot lose this round, lose all their players, their economy is going to be absolutely crushed.
Zan having to entry, but a Guardian. They will commit an ultimate here.
Gonna work their way in off this Viper's Pit and get the spike down, but you can see Claudio's going to be able to push them all out of it with a lockdown.
Spike is planted first, and they have a little corner within this Viper's Pit to play around. Retake will come quickly out of Complexity. Jazzy, double satchel over the top. She knows exactly where Noot Noot has to be hiding. She wants to get ahead of this one. Molly's already in. That'll buy time. With the decay from the Viper's Pit as well, no one has a chance to disrespect that. Dog forward. This has to be the play right here, right now for Complexity. Jazzy satcheling forward. Can't find anything, Zoe. Zan, they take her down, and now they want a forward play as well. Raze, though, is ready for the punish. The spam is excellent. The Viper is still alive. Not for long. Millie, 1 versus 2. HP low on both of his players. Raze holding, but they line up! And Millie's got it!
Millie absolutely fantastic on the clutch. That little miscalculation from Claudia with the lockdown was so impactful. Noot Noot not having to drop that Viper's Pit. Critical.
Viper's Pit was everything in that round. And remember how it started. That was that play down mid for Complexity. A free opener of a great call for Jazzy. But now it's map point for Noot Noot.
On the verge of a massive upset win here on the first map. I mean, is it even an upset at this point? Noot Noot have proven that they are an elite team.
Still Complexity. Second best team of GC2. Aspirations of the championship. Of being that second North American squad. Could be ripped away from them here. An elimination game. And the underdogs are taking the lead. This time, though, Jazzy will reply. The op shot connects. She wants her second chance in Brazil.
We've seen Jazzy be so good with this op, finally with the money to actually get it up on this defensive side.
Seize is good, smoke as well. But Jazzy, can she dance out of this one just in time? Will stay alive. And now that off retrained on the angle, it connects again. Millie is down. That player so critical for Noot Noot thus far in this half. Spike is planted though. It's just attrition for Complexity. Players being cut away one at a time for Noot Noot, and the dive in from Lacey is perfection. A double for the young star, and Complexity now one away from overtime.
It's that operator in the hands of Jazzy and the confidence that she plays with it. That is always the reason Cole are so good on this defensive side. They've, so far, been winning these rounds out with just excellent calling, but when they get the op online, their ability to just let Jazzy dominate some part of the map on her own just allows the rest of the players to be stacked up in other areas. The setups with it are fantastic.
From a young star to now the leader of the squad, Jazzy's progress has been impeccable, but she'll always turn up in moments like those. The final round here of regulation. Race has the Odin, the first time we've seen that come out thus far, and it will be an attempt to spam over towards A. No Raise nade this time, so a bit of a change in the defense of Complexity.
The Odin and Tree, potent as ever. These walls are paper thin, and the damage coming through. This is a story we've seen time and time again. This weapon is so busted on this map.
It's wild that no one pulled it out to this point, but Raze maybe finding the perfect timing. An advantage for Complexity, and Noot Noot still with very weak weaponry to work with. Zan's showstopper might have to be the magic bullet though. The one piece to save this round. Where can they find an opportunity? Where can they use that though? Because thus far, it's another one of these lockouts for Complexity.
God, oh, so close to claiming another damage inflicted by that
Look
Odin.
at Jazzy.
Jazzy, and this is what I was talking about. They're able to have these setups where she can control farm the map with the op. She's always good for the kill.
A massive 1-2 pickup. The spike is on the floor, and they still have to face her. Rotates. They're not even coming yet. Jazzykins is trusted to hold this line, to be the fear. The Complexity needs to hold on. Now Rotates will have to be invested. A smoke is up. Jazzy still has a nade, but the rocket is inbound. Jazzy, though, out of dodge. And Zan's showstopper does absolutely nothing as Lacey wants to do everything. Finds one kill. Kara is there as well. The spike is on the floor, and overtime is on the cards.
Overtime inevitable with how impeccable this defense was from Complexity. The calling from Jazzy, fantastic. They had such a read on Noot Noot over and over. They were just hitting these stacked sites. Once the op is online, it just feels like it's an inevitability that Complexity would bring this to OT.
But Complexity are starting on the attack this time, and this is where they struggled. A, lobby control, I think their biggest issue throughout the half. Do they have a new answer now?
It is that syncing of the utility. The Fade, the Raze, the Viper, the Astra, they all just work so effectively together.
And Cole will start towards B. The fast B pops were one of the few ideas that they found consistent success in.
We're gonna have to deal with Kari's full KJ setup if that is what they ought to do, though.
You see the utility as well. Not just that Killjoy setup, but 2 Astra Stars to boot. It's a lot committed to hold this when they know what Cole favors, but Jazzy's already passed it all. Nade is great, not blinded off, and the dog will eat the bullets for a moment, but it's not enough to keep Summertime in it. Advantage for Complexity, sight in their control, but Zan still getting one. Pivotal kill there onto Claudia, and Carrie claiming another. They're just being chipped away as they're trying with this spike down. They need an advantage from somewhere. Could it be Kara to do so? She's already found one, and it's a flank from the other side that she has to buy time for. Raze working her way around. Is Millie ready for it? Absolutely not. Only one player left. Malibu, the star, the lurker, who has done so much before for this Noot Noot squad. Can she be the one to keep him in it? Can she be the one to control this overtime? She'll take a risk. Looking through the smoke, she hears the footsteps though from Complexity. Where is the timing? Where is the moment where Malibu can take advantage? Around the corner, she goes sprinting, up and finds one. Kara is down, but the second shot
so
not connecting.
close.
Raze holds on, and Cole have map point.
That was almost an unreal clutch from a player finding more than their footing in their first Game Changers run. Malibu has just been a breakout star here in GC3 on the cusp Unbelievable play here in overtime. But it's going to be complexity. This isn't their map pick, but it's a map they love, and they're on the cusp of winning it.
So much credit given to Raze, the player who has stepped up at this final hour to give Complexity their first piece of control in the round. Lacey teleporting forward, they're ready for this A-lobby aggression, and they already have Zan down. Noot Noot will try and sprint their way back towards the other side of the map, but there's still plenty of stall utility here. Mollies for Raze, no inroads just yet. Can they even commit with their dive already dead? It's such a risk to be taken.
Look at how fast this rotation is again from Complexity.
They're in so quickly. 3 players queued up to make this flood retake a possibility. They'll stand close in the smoke, spam away, and wait for the plant. But Malibu making another play, taking another chance. She failed in the previous round, but can she do it this time?
You are kidding.
2 kills for Malibu. It's unbelievable success from the Viper, and that space will be held on to. A Viper's Orb committed past the flash. Goes to Malibu. A 3rd kill already, and Millie is there to mop things up. The leader, Jazzykins, in a 1 versus 3 to close the game out, to steal the match away from their opponent, but she's already so revealed. The smoke will come in her face, but the satchel will get her out. Jordy on the other side, and it's all they need. Noot Noot, they're still in it.
I mean, how is it your player that has just simply never been in these situations before, playing with the most confidence, the one pushing forward, taking these fights solo, getting set up with the flashes, capitalizing, winning the duels against a team that was on the verge of winning Game Changers in Stage 2?
It's unbelievable what they're achieving. The star plays from each and every one of the members of this Noot Noot squad have gotten them a second overtime. But that's not the match just yet. They need a new solution to this defensive side, and it starts the same.
It is the same story we have seen all map long on A from the Noot Noot side. They are constantly taking control over on A.
Jazzy will take her time to break this utility towards B. Already drawing out a lot. That's the Raze nade, the C's, the Wallet as well, already down. Complexity will take that opportunity to go into the C site. Jazzy up and over the top. Millie has been an expert anchor on this set thus far, but this time will fall early. However, again, it's rotations for Noot Noot proving key. Carry on the scene has support from Zan walking around the other side, but not suspecting. Raises position, leaves it again to Malibu. So many times, so much has been asked of her. Could this be another moment where she steps up, claims a critical round for her team? Could they even suspect her? This far out, this far forward in this moment, they do. Raze is there for the trade. Complexity, another opportunity to close.
Noot Noot will wrap it on the rotation. Complexity-esque, frankly, on defense there, spilling into the C site, but overplayed their hand. Too many players taking solo duels, trying to make individual efforts, pushing forward, getting caught by the Complexity players who nicely slowed down that hit.
1 round away for Cole to close this one out. Towards A lobby, it'll be that same volley of utility invested. Last time, Noot Noot contested it, and they're doing it again.
It is going to be, of course, that early nade, the Spy Flash coming through. We are going to get a fight here, and it's Zan with the opening, taking down their duelist counterpart in Jazzy. Lace with everything to do. An absolute star for the Complexity side. Praise coming in.
So much support. It's excellent to keep her alive for that long, but it is still an even situation here. Complexity has to get their anchors out of this one, and Kara will stay alive. Noot Noot hit the pause button. Claim an orb. And that's 1 away from the lockdown being online. A big tool if they can get this into a post.
I expect Summertime will probably shift that spike over to the hands of Kari to get that lockdown for the post plant, as they're going to cut noise here again. Previously, we saw when Noot Noot cut noise on the attack side's Complexity, steadfast. They never got baited into rotating.
And it's the same thing again. 2 players from Complexity holding on to A. But was that ever the destination for Noot Noot? They're pivoting through this B site, through the baby door, and the dog doesn't spot anything. Kara has been completely tricked here. The Magician's slipping past, but is Raze ready for this one. Plant will be held, pull will be set up for this post plant. Another opportunity here for Noot Noot.
And an error made. They didn't give the spike to Kari. They could have had a lockdown online.
That's a big tool unavailable. Now it has to be a kill, some sort of desperation for Kari to get that one online. 3v3 though. And time working in favor of Noot Noot. Cole will clear fast into the site. The first Skybird invested. They still have smoke to raise, and Malik's to isolate as well. But how many players do they expect in the baby door? And the small cubby on the right side, they have a good idea. Flash forward, smoke to blue, but not quite in time. Trade is there. No lockdown in this round, so it's a 2v2 to end. But who can get on that spike? Absolutely no one. Noot Noot, they stay alive yet again. They had opportunities to close earlier on. This was their game to win, and they refuse to let it out of their sight.
By no means succumbing to the pressure of this situation. They are stepping up when it's needed the most individually there. The timing's taken from these players fantastic. Love how Kari was being played off there by Millie. Slow. Summertime as well, just waiting for someone to have to get on that spike. I love how they played that.
Kari stepping up big time in overtime for her squad thus far. But a risk in overtime here. Lacey invests in her operator.
Interesting to see it in the hands of Lacey, frankly, when you have Jazzy on the team. Perhaps just valuing the ability to double satchel to actually explode into a site.
It's been pivotal for their executes thus far.
And working out towards A slowly, using that operator to clear these angles. Make sure that there's no Noot aggression here. The aggression we've seen damn near every round.
No Odin in the hands of the Viper player, anchored toward the switch this time. Instead, just a lot of space to hold on to, and very little support to work with. I love the call for complexity here to contact.
See players rotate. Malibu coming out. Oh my god, Malibu is just unbelievable. How are you winning both of those?
It's unreal what Malibu is doing in this overtime. But it's not enough to close the round just yet. Complexity still have 3 members left alive. And they have a secret weapon to boot. Lacey has held onto this operator and is yet to show what she has. An angle held towards the spawn side. No flashes in the comp, so it's a clean shot connected for Lacey. Can she get another though? Oh. Absolutely not. Zan is there. They shut things down, and Claudia is in an unwinnable situation. The first convincing round we've seen here in overtime goes the way of Noot.
And it goes the way of Malibu, fighting in tree, taking duels, winning with crisp headshots that we've seen time and time again, and then Zan with what looked like just a mental spray transfer. I love how Complexity played that little scenario too here. You can see Lace taking first contact, swing from Raze. I mean, what on earth is that? Cole played these situations perfectly fine, but the talent on Noot Noot is outrageous.
Final chat here with Coach Joe for Complexity. A chance to decompress for a moment in this overtime and find a new approach on their defense. Thus far, Wyatt, out of both of their timeouts, Complexity have been able to convert rounds.
Coach Joe's impact felt time and time again with this Complexity squad. They spoke so highly of him back in Game Changers 2, where they had their breakout run, where they made it the deepest they ever had, coming in second place, earning all of those points, the points that are now pivotal on this run in GC3. If they can repeat what they did then, they will make it. They will qualify to champions for the first time.
At this point, it's really only them and Shopify that have a chance to qualify off points, to make that second slot without having to beat V1. So staying alive, completing this lower bracket run, really means everything to this Complexity squad. And starting things off with a win on Lotus on one of your best maps would be absolutely pivotal to that goal.
Noot Noot feeling the weight of the world here, but it is not folding them in any way. They're going to go for this fast A hit. It's going, or rather just, fast A take of the space. It looked like there was going to be a bit of a brawl with Complexity, but they're going to fall back and just dig their heels into the site.
A big key for Noot Noot in their early rounds was getting Malibu entrenched on that A site, and again, she has found that space. That'll be a big tool for Noot Noot's mid-round.
Complexity gathered up here all by the baby door. They're ready to fight for 4B. They're ready to swing back and fight for A control if needed. A control where Malibu always in charge.
Lace has a paranoia as well. An opportunity for a bit of a trap play. If that door starts to be spammed, I think that's the idea that they're going for. But Noot Noot, a different idea. They'll head towards the seaside.
Hoping to draw some rotates. Really just off that haunt, and immediately they are working back to Malibu. We have seen them do this in regulation many times. No, actually, a bit of a mix-up. They're going to go to B, but Complexity, they are so confident in their reads, just stacked up here.
That Roomba could be a bit of false
30
information.
seconds left.
Because it sees nothing, but lurking towards B main is the entirety of Noot Noot. They'll walk into this smoke, and they'll bait on the other side a rotation off of the door on A. Will that call for a rotate from Cole? Not yet, but Kara's not ready in time to connect the shot. Jazzy is there. 10 seconds to get the spike down, but with the Astra utility, it's perfection combined with a nade, and Malibu activates at just the right moment. Raze has to make a heroic play. They'll try and go through the smoke, but there's just no chance at winning the round. It's only Claudia to try and do so. Damage onto her opponent and information onto Malibu, or at very least the suspicion. But that timer is so tough to work around. No util and damage done by Arumba. She's got Zan, but how much more can she find? Only 20 HP to work with. The tap on the spike, and it's Millie to shut things down. Noot Noot 16-14. It looked like it was gonna let them slip. It looked like it would be another moment where a map escapes them, but they stay in it, and they're up in the series versus Complexity.
It's Cole pushing them to the absolute limit, almost manifesting a pretty outrageous comeback on the side swap, bringing things to OT. I mean, what a map to start this series off. Again, this was Noot Noot's pick. A map to Complexity, this was their 7th time playing it in Game Changers 3. They were able to come in with an understanding of what Complexity liked to do, despite it being so good on this map, barely bringing things over the finish line. And now as we move forward, we're going to head over to Bind, another map that's fantastic for both teams. I could certainly imagine it going the distance as it has here.
An unreal start to the series for Noot Noot, but still 2 more maps to play. Before we get to that though, a quick break and the analysts on the other side.
Have you ever asked yourself after a bad game, what am I missing? Or sought help from impatient friends? Or browsed desperately for answers that only bring up more questions? Your self-doubting days are over with Discovery, the first game-focused AI. Discovery is trained on the world's leading esports athletes to be your everyday personal coach. That's right, Discovery can help you improve your gameplay by giving you tips and strategies to take your game to the next level. Get started at aimlabs.com/discovery.
Red Bull gives you wings.